Hello. What day is today? Thursday, March 21st of 2019. Haven't streamed in a while. The last time was Saturday. So quite a few days. I've been pretty busy with other stuff. My brother is learning to program, and so I've been spending a bunch of my time teaching him some kind of basic stuff. He learned how to use a terminal and run some basic commands like cd and stuff, and made his first Git repository, which was an adventure. But yeah, made a Git repository and made some commits. Made his first pull request. All of it was very guided, but he's learning a lot of stuff, which I think is cool. I might eventually turn some of the stuff that I'm like, one-on-one teaching him into videos, but I don't know. It's a ton of work to record a video. It's much easier to just stream, which is probably why I haven't recorded a video in quite a long time. But you know, what are you gonna do? Oh, I didn't even start my chat bot. Let me do that. I don't stream for a while, you forget how to do these things. Let's see. Twitch chatbot. Uptime should oh right. I changed the one sec. I changed the config to be someone else's channel because I was showing them how the bot works. So it just joined their channel. But now it should work. Complete uptime. Yeah, for 2 minutes and 35 seconds. Cool. What other recap have I done recently? I think last time we worked on Pi Upgrade. And we added a few features. What were those? Alright, we implemented UR literal rewriting. Since then I did some more performance improvements with like combining some of the fixers. Each of those improving it by like 15% or so. Hey, what's up, outdated version? How's it going? How's your Thursday? And we've gotten some other contributions from Max, who added rewriting of 6.d and 6.iterator, although this one's not quite done yet. Going good, you? I'm doing alright. Had a long day at work, so I've already finished a glass of wine, but it's only 6 o'clock. But you know what? I'm about to write some code, and so it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. I also have more wine if if it gets to that. But yeah, it was a long day at work today. Yeah. I'm adding at work. I'm adding pre-commit to all of our Git repositories, and just for the first pass, I'm just enforcing Flake 8 on the Python repositories. And let me tell you, some of the repos are installing extremely old versions of Flake 8 or extremely broken situations of Flake 8. So I'm basically fixing Flake 8 in every single person's repository. Every time I open your stream, there's a fucking candy ad. I have no choice about the ads. I'm so sorry. Candy ads sound fun though. I can go for some candy right now. Unfortunately, well, fortunately or unfortunately, I don't really keep candy in my house because if I ever do have candy, I just eat it immediately. My terrible rationale of that is, oh yeah, I have candy. You know, I'm gonna eat it eventually. So if I eat it all in one sitting, that's not any different than eating it over time, right? But that logic is super flawed, and then I eat the candy and feel bad. But, you know, it happens, I guess. But yeah, what I want to work on today... Oh, did I start my recording? Yeah, I did. Promise I know what I'm doing. So what I wanted to work on today is one feature with pre-commit, which I want to bring into the next release. There's a bunch of like good first issues, and left some time for other people to implement them, but now I'm gonna take this one because I want to get this into the next release so that I can start using it at work. But it should be pretty easy. It's just like adding some stuff so that you can force a minimum version of pre-commit. But I factor out some code, write some tests. I don't know. This is what I want to accomplish for this stream. I don't know what else I'll get done. I haven't really put any planning or forethought into this. Unfortunately, this is gonna be my only stream this week because I'm going skiing, and that'll be fun. But yeah, let's jump into this. What was I doing last time? Oh, I was demoing the feature that I wanted to implement. But now we'll actually be implementing that. What is this patch here? Oh, this is when I was working on the NPM stuff. Cool. So how did I test this before? WAT? I like that branch was called WAT. Oh. I wonder what was in the WAT branch. I upgraded the linters. Let's see what's up with that branch. Oh, that's all I did. I don't know why I did that, but I don't know. I think I was probably demoing something. I don't know what was up with the WAT branch. But since it's not important, we're just gonna delete it. Actually, delete the other branches too, probably. Oh, master progressed. I should probably. What was I saying? I should probably pull. Is master progressed? Oh right, because we had some contributions which happened in pre-commit, which was cool. Today I learned that git show exists. Yeah, git show is great. Git show will show you commits that happened. You can also take like a previous SHA and git show it. So if we git show that, you can see like this is a commit that happened. You can also use git log-p, which is also kind of useful because it'll just show the patches in line. I tend to use git show myself more often than the other ones, but I don't know, it works. It's pretty good. Well, son of a bitch, yeah. Just learning all the things. Another good one that not many people seem to know about, but I find super useful with Git is git log-G, and then you can pass it some sort of regular expression. So let's look for any time that the diff contained xargs. And so you can see like all of these patches contained xargs in them. It's kind of useful if you want to like find introductions or removals of a specific function type or whatever. But I use that all the time. But yeah, I think what we'll do today. So I gotta write some tests first. And I think the way I'm gonna implement this minimum version check is by modifying the client lib file. Client lib file. It's not a great name. I think I probably culted the name from something at Yelp, but oh well. It's stuck there since 2014. I think. Wait. Git log pre-commit. It used to be /clientlib, but then I combined it into a single file. But yeah, it was in one of the very first commits back in 2014. But now it's just clientlib.py instead. Test minimum pre-commit version failing. How's this gonna work? I guess I can just make a default config, which is empty list of repos and minimum pre-commit version 99. One day we'll release version 999 and this test will fail, but that's fine. Breakpoint, right? So this test should fail right now because we don't have this implemented. Oh, that tab complete didn't work. I don't know why the tab complete didn't work, but now we must wait. There we go. What is wrong with my tab complete? Weird. I could. Syntax error. Right. Oh yeah, because this is mapping. Validate missing one argument. Config scheme. What we want. And we'll have another test, which is just the default passing case, where we test it at a specific version that is definitely lower. But this test is kind of trivial and will always pass for now because I'm not actually doing anything interesting. Schema. Just adjusting this so it takes up fewer lines of code. I think it reads slightly better too, but that's just me. So I've noticed when you put a breakpoint in Python and there's no statement after it, the debugger jumps up a frame, which is kind of annoying. But if I put a pass statement here, I will still be able to debug this frame without having to jump around. So that's why that passes there. No reason otherwise. Okay, cool. So we have our did not raise. Now we'll add that entry to config schema. Optional. So we want to test, so this minimum pre-commit version just checks the string and defers the check to later. But we want to check this up front, I think. Or at least, that's how I'm going to implement it, and if that doesn't work out well, then I'll adjust it. Well, I'll try it out after I do this, and then I'll adjust it, or defer it if it makes more sense. So first want to check if it's a string, and then check min version. And the default is 0. We want to add a check min version fix that in a bit. Oh, we should now have maybe 2 failing tests. Yeah, because we typoed not implemented, but that's fine because we actually want to implement it. We can take the current minimum. There we go. Oh wow, this just like straight up exits 1. That seems aggressive. But maybe it's the right thing? I don't know. First version. Think that'll work? Although the other logger is explicitly this, so maybe we'll stick to that. I really don't like the logger setup in pre-commit right now, because it's really just a sneaky global variable, and I think I'd rather make that explicit. But I don't know. Check min version. Okay, so that'll fail the test now. Ret is not defined. Oh. Okay, so maybe I shouldn't have done that. Yeah, because this message is specifically about a specific hook ID. But we don't have a hook ID because we're just at the top level here. What do we want to say here? The configuration, pre-commit version blah is required. Yeah, we'll do that. Pre-commit version blah is required, but that version is installed. See what happens if we raise this as a validation error instead. Instead of exit 1. Where'd the message go? Oh. E.value? Yeah, there we go. At config, at key minimum pre-commit version. Yeah, that seems fine. We'll do that. And of course, I don't want to hard code this version number here. Because then it'll break anytime I make a release. Is that how I imported that? Yes. I think that's all. Well, shoot. I'm gonna say that's all I need to implement this. What's different? Oh, I want stir. That's not right. It's not the right variable name, so I confused myself. It's actually in a PyTest exception info. And then there's an extra new line. I hate being hungry, but having zero clue what I want to eat. I know that feel. I got off the train today and I was like, man, food sounds really good right now. And then I got home and I realized I have like no food in my house. Wait, did I screw this up again? What are you mad about now? Oh, there's an extra new line up here. I have no food in my house, and the grocery store across the street from me is closing, and most of the things that I usually get there are gone. Oh, what did I do? Just a stray V in the file. Oh, it's the very end. And the grocery store across the street from me is closing, so they don't really have much stock, and I didn't feel like walking further, and then like, all I have in my house right now is peanut butter, and that's not food. I mean, it's edible, but it's not meal caliber. But that's I gave myself. I mean, PB&J does sound good, but I don't have any jelly, and I don't have any bread. I guess I could have got bread. This store has bread. They probably have jelly, because that probably doesn't sell out. But I didn't, unfortunately. Pre-commit version 999. That's not how that works. Expected string, but got int. True. No longer an int. Oops. An error has occurred. Invalid config error. File name and the key. Recommit version, that number is required, but version 1.14.4 is installed. Perhaps run pip install upgrade pre-commit. Cool. I think that works. It's good enough. That number. That's not a number. I'm in a surprisingly good mood despite being like real angry at work today. But we don't need logging anymore. Min version. It's actually not so bad. I'm actually really happy or proud of my configuration language here, or like my schema language here. It makes it really easy to add stuff and add like custom checks and defaults and stuff. Like this change would have been pretty annoying if I was using something like JSON schema, where I would have to like parse out and then like post parse the inner objects and like check if they exist or not. And I don't know, config v I wrote as kind of a response to JSON schema, actually entirely for pre-commit, because pre-commit used to use JSON schema, and you would get these ridiculously ugly error messages, and people are always like, I got this spew of JSON, I don't know what's wrong, and I didn't even use JSON, why is it complaining about JSON? It's like, ugh. But config fee is kind of a nice generic pass it Python objects, have it lint, and return errors thing. And the big benefit in my mind is you get kind of a stack trace of the error, and like this to me is much more readable than the crazy JSON nonsense that we got before. But it makes it really obvious like what file name you're dealing with, and like what key you have a problem with, and I don't know. Very happy with it. Maybe I'm humble bragging a little bit, but or not so humble bragging. I really like that feature. Check out word master. One thing that's kind of annoying is this key is super verbose. It's a lot to type out, and that's actually why I made this other issue, which is to warn on unknown keys, because it's pretty easy to typo them. It now warns on unknown keys at lower levels, so if you had a key like WAT in here, pre-commit will now produce a warning like, warning, unexpected keys present on this repo at this book ID. And this is brand new. And I actually noticed while fixing people's configurations at work that there's a lot of people that typo the keys and end up doing nothing. So this is kind of useful. I want to eventually upgrade it to an error, but I want to be like careful that this warning has been out long enough before I turn it into an error, because I'm pretty sure it'll break all sorts of people's configs that are just like silently doing nothing right now. But maybe in the future. Add top level minimum pre-commit version. No, I didn't want to do that. If I push it to pre-commit/pre-commit, it'll run all of the tests twice, which I don't want to wait for all the tests to run. But if I push it to my fork, it only runs the test once, which is like a stupid hack, but saves a bunch of time. The tests are a little bit slow. When I switch to Azure pipelines, it'll only run them once, which is pretty good, but I need to do that still. But this change ended up being pretty simple. Entirely adds just this very straightforward version checking function, and one more field in the config here. I think I even accidentally alphabetized it without thinking about it. Here's the start of this map. I guess repos is always first, and then all the optionals after. Oh, it's not alphabetized at all. What am I saying? Okay. Like, oh wait, yeah it is. D, D, E, F, and then M. This is the only one that's not alphabetized, but it's required, so. Makes sense to put it at the top? I don't know. I'm just babbling about the alphabet. And I might as well add docs for this right now. You are not passing yet. Let me make sure it didn't actually kick off a build for the branch that I pushed quickly. Okay, yeah, it canceled that one. I assume Travis did the same. Build. Yeah, so it stopped this quickly. It failed to clone. Perfect. But yeah, so if you push directly to origin, there will be 4 sets of tests here, which is a great waste of time. What application? Lift stuff. Oops. We don't need to look at the lift stuff today. Let's add this to the docs while I'm thinking about it. So the docs for pre-commit are in a Git repo, precommit.github.io. Hey Avenger X, thanks for following. Every follow counts. Avenger X. Be like the next Marvel movie. Yeah, the way the docs work is actually maybe a little bit too clever, but it works well for people being able to add to it. So the way the branches are set up, ignore the better docs branch. I haven't touched that in 4 years. There's a real master branch, which is the default branch, and that's where the source of the docs goes. There's some compiled CSS and images and stuff, and the makefile drives most of how things get built. So it compiles the SCSS, and there's this all hooks thing, which is driven by this YAML file. Where's the YAML file? There's no reason for it to be YAML, because it's just a list of strings. It could really just be a flat file. But this lists all of the currently supported repos, I guess. I don't know. Supported is not necessarily a great way to put it. It's just whoever has contributed to the docs add their repo, and anyone can add them. But it ends up generating this page here, which just lists a bunch of hooks, and if people fill out a description, it ends up here. But you can see oh, what is this? Matches some fields of the commit and adds a signature for verification. Apparently I've completely forgotten about this. Oh, it's written in Ruby. Interesting. Sure. Maybe I don't. Security. Holy crap. Oh, this is one of the newest repos, which actually seems really cool. They're using pre-commit to lint their IT configuration. Everyone in the world kind of uses Jamf to manage corporate laptops and stuff. And they've written a bunch of scripts that help them validate those things, which I think is pretty cool. Lyft uses Jamf. I don't know that they use this linter. I don't think Lyft's Jamf is actually checked in anywhere, which is oh well. But yeah, the other parts of this repo, there's the index file, which is a Mako template. And I was sick of writing HTML, so I wrote a little markdown helper so I can write inline markdown inside this HTML template. It'll just generate out. Unfortunately, there's some stuff I can't do in markdown, so I have interspersed HTML, and this part's kind of ugly, but what are you gonna do? But yeah, it ends up printing out HTML from the markdown. Oh, I also invented my own table syntax, because the markdown table syntax, you have to align all these pipes and plus signs, and writing markdown tables just really grinds my gears because they're so hard to do correctly. And this makes it easy for me to make tables, so I'm pretty happy with this custom syntax that I made. Yeah, it's one-off and special and snowflakey and blah blah blah, but it gets the job done and works really well. But that's how this repo is set up. Oh, there's another cool thing. I made a pre-commit highlighter so that if you have pre-commit outputs, they can get highlighted using pigments. And so you would just use pre-commit as your language, and it knows how to highlight them, which is kind of cool. I did the same thing for PyTest as well. PyTest has a bunch of different other formats, but I made a code highlighter for PyTest. Which is why the, was it pytest.org? No. Take it forever. Docs.pytest.org. Yeah, so that's why these docs in PyTest are highlighted. I added a plugin for that. But anyway, that's how the docs work. Minimum. Oh, I have to check out real master, otherwise it checks out the generated docs. Oh, that's the other part. So the generated docs end up with a I wanted that. The generated docs end up with the output HTML and the CNAME file, which tells it to hook up to a domain that I own. And that's how precommit.com works. And we're going to be adding an entry to this table here. So we already have repos, default language version, default stages, exclude, and fail fast. And so now we'll add a row for minimum pre-commit version and optional default 0. It's string 0, not the number 0. Require a minimum version of pre-commit. New in 1.15.0. 1.15 isn't released yet, but it'll be the next minor release that goes out. And we can use the makefile to build the whole site, I think. We'll wait for that to run. And hopefully by the time we have the docs ready, we'll have finished running tests here. Kinda doubt that'll happen, but certainly a possibility. Well, they've finished on Linux for the most part. But Windows is chugging along. And never mind, they won't be ready. We'll finish the docs way before then. But here's where it's grabbing all the configurations from the pre-commit pre-commit repos. And we can actually preview what the docs look like by opening up the build to output. So we can see this section that we just added here. I apparently have a typo in it. So I guess it's good that I previewed it. Yeah, there we go. Oh yeah, I put a period after this on all these other ones, so I guess I'll be consistent there. But the second make is much faster because it only has to rebuild the templates. Now we have this here. Oh, this one kind of lies here. It says that it defaults to 0.0.0, which it might have at some point back when it was added in this really, really old version of precommit, but it's no longer true. Yeah, it defaults to 0. Oh, I can at least update the docs, even though it makes no difference there. 0.0.0. Oh, what am I doing? I want to edit the template, not the output. There we go. Document top level minimum pre-commit version. And wait for the linters to run. Yeah, so one of the reasons why I want to switch to Azure Pipelines instead of AppBear is AppBear only gives me one parallel runner, so this serially takes the full like 20 minutes to build. Whereas if it ran in parallel, it could finish in, you know, 9 minutes and change. But instead, I must wait for it to build again. I've been putting off moving pre-commit because it has lots of special setup stuff. Like it installs a bunch of different programming languages. Right now, see, it can optionally upgrade Git, it installs Swift, it installs Rust. It requires that Go is installed, it does some stuff with Docker. But I'd have to replicate all of that on a different CI platform, and I don't know if I want to do that just... That's not what I want. I don't have a code of conduct. People are mostly nice so far. Here's the... Huh. Someone fork to fork. Someone else fork to fork. Weird. Where's the, there's like a graph you could look at. Is it network? Yeah, this is what I wanted. So you can actually like visualize the forks and see if anyone has made any interesting branches. Although usually it's just me contributing to myself. Git env preserve trace curl verbose. Interesting. Well, they haven't contributed back, but seems like an interesting... Oh, I see. I find it interesting that they wrote a test for it too. I guess that's fair. But they must have been debugging some download problems or something. This should have finished. Ugh. Okay, remote -v. That might have been a bad idea now that I think about it. Because there's two... no, it's probably fine. I was thinking there's two repos in my... that I own that now have a CNAME file in them. But I'm sure it's fine. It's not a big deal. But I was forking to avoid the double builds again. Although this build is much faster. It's 10 minutes shenanigans. I should really try and improve the CI speed at some point. Although right now a lot of it is completely necessary. And Windows is just slow. Grumble, 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 grumble. But eventually I'm going to delete these tests that are X's right here. There's a language, so to speak, that pre-commit supports currently called PCRE, which is one of the oldest quote-unquote languages. And it allows you to write quick regexes to lints, to like lint some basic patterns in files. But I implemented pygrep in 1.2.0 to replace PCRE. Although I think PCRE was in basically the oldest, one of the original versions. Git describe contains this. Yeah, so in 0.2.0, which was released July of 2014, contained the PCRE language type. But PyGrep has been around since 1.2.0, which was in late 2017. It's almost been 2 years since this was deprecated, I think. GitGrep deprecated. There's a deprecation method or message, right? Let's see, when did I add the deprecation? January of 2018, so it's been a little bit over a year. Git describe contains. I guess I should look when 1.5.0 was released. It was released, oh, the same day, perfect. Wow, this feels like it was forever ago. Or like, not forever ago, like a couple months ago. But it's been a whole year. Crazy. Huh. I feel like I did one of my first videos, or one of my first YouTube videos on this issue here. You can bypass max path on Windows. So max path is like 250 something. Probably 255. Although minus the drive letters, probably 253. The WAT episodes? Episodes WAT. Yes, max path. 260. It's kind of a weird number. -3, -1, -12. So normally you can only have 244 characters of path on Windows. But you can turn it off, or you turn off that limitation by enabling some setting. It doesn't always work, but you can get around it by using this 4-byte sequence on the beginning of your file paths. It's a little weird, but works. But I adjusted pre-commit to use this to install npm, which requires a ridiculous number of characters. Because, I don't know, you install npm and you get this sprawling directory structure. But, that's how that got solved. Okay, so the docs build finished. This is still chugging along. What else did I want to work on? Are there anything? Let's see. A warning can go into kind of a patch release if I want. This is really easy. I want someone else to do this. This can also go into a patch release. This is the one that I really wanted to get into this release. So that's I think once I merge this, I'll be able to make a release there. That's good. I guess I can look at my GitHub issues, see if there's anything. Oh, I could do some chat commands. Would be interesting-ish. Although I did most of the interesting stuff in my chatbot by building the framework for it. So now it's mostly just it would mostly just be serial inline code and no longer like async stuff. It's like most of the interesting bits went into actually implementing the framework for these handlers and like these response objects that actually do the async stuff. The other parts aren't as interesting. Maybe I would do that. Oh, I just got an email that the job finished. Which is good. That means I can merge this now. Let me hook up the issue so that it auto closes it. 964. We're getting close to 1,000. 23 more PRs/issues. 964. And merged. I guess I can merge this one too, even though the setting doesn't exist yet, but it will soon. Yeah, the unfortunate thing about this setting is you won't really be able to take advantage of it until later on. I wish I would have added it earlier. I could have added it all the way back in 1.0, which introduced the new configuration format, but I didn't think to add it then. But I really, at work, I really need it to require version 1.14 because we've started using the default language version setting. This one here. So what default language version lets you do is you can specify for all hooks of a specific language to use a specific interpreter. And unfortunately for us, it's mostly saying like instead of the default Python, use Python 2, which is sadness. But we're slowly burning down Python 2 and migrating to Python 3, which is good. Lift is somewhere around like 70% of our Python stuff is on Python 3. So we're moving in the right direction, but we have a lot to go. And hopefully we'll be able to leverage pre-commit to do a lot of the heavy lifting there, because Python Modernize supports pre-commit, and this is what powers most of Lift's Python migration tooling stuff. Python Modernize GitHub. Hey, Cold Player with a 4 and a 3. Thanks for following. Every follow counts. Cold Player. Oh, I don't know. He works on this. Or I don't want to assume their gender. Oh, right. So, really annoying thing about viewing commits on GitHub is if you click on their name, it just takes you to the same page you're already on. But if you click on their photo, it takes you to their actual page. Ooh, they have a ton of organizations. Like, I thought I had a lot of organizations, but they have so many more icons than I do. I do that every fucking time. Yeah, it's so obnoxious. I wish clicking on their name actually took you to the place you want. Oh, F's in the chat for my user page, I guess. But yeah, like I have 5, 9. Two of them are fake. This one was a joke, and this one is my archived repos. But they have, let's see, 5 by 5. Maybe it only displays 25. They have a lot. Part of the Jupyter Hub. That one's kind of cool. Oh, IPython. That's a big deal. IPA. 10,000 contributions. Yeah, so that includes my private contributions. If we just look at, no, not print. Control-Shift-N. If we look at my public contributions, it's only like 5,000, 4,000 or something like that. Yeah, see, only 5,000. That's still kind of a lot. Yeah, I spend too much time on GitHub. Yikes. So, weird thing that I noticed the other day, apparently somebody famous started one of my repositories, and then my feed was just filled with, like, not this one, not that one, this repository. So, apparently somebody, like, famous started this, and then, like, where was it? I just had, like, my feed was just filled with people, a bunch of people starring it, which, I mean, that's fine. But my traffic graph was super not useful. And I was like, where are these people coming from? And it's just like giant spike here. Some of it comes from, oh, does the Palettes project mention it? Interesting. That's probably where they came from. Worksug now uses pre-commit black, reorder Python imports, and Flake8 to provide consistent code formatting. That's cool. Worksug is pretty cool. We use that at work. Worksug. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. That's how I pronounce it inside my head. guess I could Google it and see. Let's see. Works on pronunciation. Chiefly colloquial Northern Germany. Alright, let me pause the music so we can hear this.
Werkzeug.
I'm so far from right.
Werkzeug.
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 Work stuff. Oh, that's so good.
Werkzeug.
Work stuff. Nice. Anyway, yeah, I've chatted with Davidism on Twitter a bunch. He seems pretty excited about pre-commit and applying it to projects. It makes it makes the code formatting way better. Oh, here we go. See. But yeah, Werkzeug is the I'm just gonna say Werkzeug because it's easier for me. It's the basis for how Flask does their HTTP request stuff. So we tend to use it a lot at Lyft, because Lyft's Python stuff is almost entirely Flask. Surprised I got that many click-throughs from just like a small mention in a changelog release log thing. Redirects now use HTTP 308. It's 308. Permanent redirect. Isn't 301 a permanent redirect? Oh, moved permanently is different than permanent redirect. In SEO speak, it is said that the link juice is sent to the new URL. Alright. So transfer some link juice here. What's poppin'? Not much CodeMonkey.js. Just worked on a small patch to pre-commit to add feature that I've wanted for a while, which is the minimum pre-commit version at the top level. So now if you set this to a value, minimum pre-commit version, and you run 537 bin, you'll now get an error that tells you to upgrade if you're out of date. I wish I would have added this earlier because it's not super useful right now, but will be in the future. But added that and added it to the docs. Wherever that. Yeah. This is such a sneaky feature of GitHub. I really don't like it. Now, granted, sometimes I do want to delete my forks. But if you go to like something where I have open branches, it still shows it. C Python, if I can spell. Find one of my merged PRs here. Merged. Yeah, so it's asking me to delete my fork of C Python. But if we look, C Python. If we look, I still have 2 active branches and 2 open pull requests. So I don't know why it's asking me to delete stuff. How is Lyft's IPO going? Well, I can't really talk about that. Maybe I'll be able to talk about it soon, but not yet. From a technical side, we're doing well, but I can't speak about the rest of it. Actually, well, I don't know. I don't know when the IPO is going to happen. You guys probably know more than I do. Partially because I don't really read the news and they don't tell us internally, probably for good reasons. But I don't know. It's I'm excited for it because it means my fake stocks become real stocks, and yeah, that's basically the only reason why. The unfortunate thing about IPOs, or I don't know if this is tech or just in general, but if you're an employee of the company, there's a lockout period that's like 6 months or something ridiculous. So even if like the IPO goes really well, still have to wait like 6 months before I can sell the stocks that I get, which I don't know, it's kind of annoying. Like, I guess it saves like everyone from just like immediately selling everything and taking the stock, but I feel like 6 months later the same thing's gonna happen. But I don't know, maybe I don't know enough about finance or stuff to make suggestions or gripes about stuff. I'm complaining to the void, and I don't know that I'm valid or validated. But whatever. it seems annoying to me. Yeah, this was kind of a healthy bump in this number, which was kind of cool. In a couple of weeks, Anthony becomes a multimillionaire. Pretty close-ish. Maybe. It's definitely gonna be, well, I'm pretty sure it's gonna be like a life-changing amount of money, but I don't know. It actually won't be in a couple of weeks because I'll have to wait for the lockout period, and so it'll be quite a while from there. Yeah, I often check these graphs on GitHub because it's interesting to see how much people clone. And these clone numbers are actually really high. Well, they look really high, but they're actually pretty low because most of these are coming from pre-commit. Hey, Math08, thanks for following. Every follow counts. So these numbers are coming from pre-commit, and pre-commit heavily caches everything it clones. And so these numbers probably indicate like some fraction of the actual number of uses of this repository. And the one that's really interesting is if you look at pre-commit/pre-commit hooks, which just seems to be growing more and more over time. Pre-commit hooks. Yeah, like this gets almost 50,000 clones a week, which is just insane to think about. Now it's only 10,000 unique people, but it's still like a crazy large number to me. Oh, this is still on the refer page. But like, that's just like a crazy number of people, and even the page itself gets a ton of views, which I think is pretty good, or pretty cool. What is this? bbgithub.dev.bloomberg.com. My guess is that's their like private GitHub. See if I can actually load it. Nope. I wonder if I still have any friends that work at GitHub. Or at Bloomberg. Oh, I do. Yeah, I know some people that work at Bloomberg. I'll have to... Hey guys, what's BB GitHub? It's probably their, like, mirror or something. I don't know. This page seems to give me lots of refers as well. Which makes sense. It's a good article about using Black and pre-commit. A really old version of pre-commit hooks, but kind of a nice demo GIF here. Oh, I corrected their document. But anyway, you guys see pre-commit all the time because I use it all the time. Oh, they don't have all of their emojis installed. Oh, well. But the number of clones here just like kind of blows my mind. Also interesting to me is that Pi Upgrade, which has significantly more stars on GitHub, so it has like 180 stars, has way fewer clones than Reorder Python Imports does. This is like 5,000, 2,000, and this is 3,500, 1,300. This is a way cooler project. I don't know. Oh, hey, Max updated his PR, so we can do some code review. Pushed facepalm. So Max is adding some code to remove 6.iterator, which is a base class that's unnecessary in Python 3. And I also asked him to combine the new style class in 6fixer for some performance benefit. This doesn't do anything, but that's okay. This is mostly just like combining the code from the other class. And so it removes object, it removes a 6.iterator, or this is just iterator when it's imported, and this is 6.iterator when it's an attribute. And this is the code from above, just got moved down. No covers are gone. Just fix classes Py3 only. They're all the ones with meta class. Where's the... Oh, here we go. This is where he put the other test. That looks good. I'm gonna check out this branch and test one thing that I'm not super sure about. I didn't see a test for it, but we'll make sure that works well. Oh no, there was already a virtual end there. Make a new one. Fine. So if we run PyUpgrade, it'll do nothing by default because it's not running in Py3 only mode. But if we say Py3 plus, it crashes. Oh man. I really wanted to merge this branch. Womp womp. I'm not sure what the fix is, but I'll let Max figure that out because it's his branch. Yeah, this is a pretty rare edge case, but it should get fixed, hopefully. Oh no, how am I going to pronounce this? Thank you, Shindre, for following. Every follow counts. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. Please correct me in the chat if you can, maybe I can Google it. Is it a common name? Pronunciation. Oh. I don't know. It's not a name. Okay. How do you pronounce it? Have I worked with React, by the way? A little bit. Not enough to say that I know anything about React. The amount of React that I did was basically like, oh look, it's a glorified templating language. That's about that's about all I know about React. I don't know. It seems okay. I like the models that it uses about like pure functions that return HTML and like tries to keep things as stateless as possible, which seems like a good idea. Although making that efficient is hard, and I think they're doing a pretty good job at making that efficient. I think I mostly got scared away from client rendering frameworks from the like disaster that was maintaining an Angular application. Because Angular is so... it's all sorts of magic, and seems to really bring most browsers that I use to their knees as it tries to re-render the world all the time. And there's like not great introspection into what it's doing. I see, I'm learning it right now, and it seems to be somewhat complicated at some points. Yeah, all that I've heard recently is just like people spouting memes about the hooks being like the greatest thing since sliced bread, which I have no idea what that means, but I've seen like image macro memes on Twitter, which is just like, okay. You can meme about a framework for a programming language, like more power to you, I guess. But seems a little weird to me. What else do I want to work on? Oh, so there's one thing that's been bothering me for quite a long time that I could maybe try and fix. So I have this tool called add trailing comma, and as it says on the tin, it adds trailing commas. They made a functional component and a weird component that has state now. Oh. I guess it's not stateless anymore then. But, oh well. So what add trailing comma does is it tries to normalize the calling constructs of functions. This was written before Black existed. Black does a lot of the same things now, but has slightly different rules. But I noticed in code reviews at Yelp that people would spend a significant amount of time bickering and moaning about, oh, well, you should have a trailing comma on this call, and then like people would add trailing commas where they wouldn't work, and then like cause breakages, and it's just like, it was one of those things where code reviewers should not spend time worrying about syntax or formatting, and like just sit down and focus on the architecture of the change, and like let the style go, and like have a computer that's really good at doing those sorts of things format it for you. And so I wrote this tool. I think I wrote this after I left Yelp. Let's see, when was the first release? 2017 July. Yeah, I think I left Yelp in 2012 plus 5. Yeah, I left Yelp like a couple months before this. I don't know, I assume that they use it anyway because it's really useful. I don't have that much experience to talk shit about it, but I feel like it was cool to have separation between dumb components and components with state. But whatever. Yeah, well, you know way more than I do about React, so I will take what you say as most likely true. But yeah, back to what this thing does. So it does a couple of things to try and normalize function calls to look like this. Well, not just function calls, but also definitions, class defs, tuples, lists, sets, list comprehensions, basically all those sorts of things. It tries to normalize them to look like look like this. Because there's like, great, 15 space indents, perfect. And it also minimizes diffs and reduces merge conflict cases by making it so when you add an argument, you're only modifying one line. Also preserves get blame. But it has a number of rewrites that it does right now. So the first and foremost, it adds trailing commas to a bunch of different constructs. So function calls, star-arged calls in Python 3.5 or greater, trailing commas on lists, on function definitions, and star-arged function definitions in Python 3.6. This was a syntax error before that. It also does it for from imports and class definitions. And the part that I want to maybe work on today, if it's easy, famous last words, is to fix up some of this unhugging behavior. There's a couple cases where it isn't doing it right now, but it probably should. And we'll get into those in a second. But it basically takes this format and converts it into this format. And makes sure that the trailing brace matches up with the same indentation of the opening brace. So that's that. There's some... So I reported it as false negatives. But there's some cases where it isn't doing unhugging where it probably should be. This is one of the cases. This guy's just wrong, and he argued with me a bunch. The point where I was like, stop. Oh, I didn't have the other one. Add temp file checker plugin. Oh, this is private code. Okay, we won't look at that. Maybe we'll open source this at some point, but we wrote a Placate plugin internally at Lyft that makes sure that when you use temp file, you're using either the context manager form or you've set up your try finally properly so that it cleans up resources. We had like wasn't really an outage, it was just like a degradation of tier 3 service or tier 4 service. I don't know, we don't have tier 4 services. A tier 3 service which was just like accumulating disk usage, and then it would run out of disk and the box would die, and then they would spin up another one and it would accumulate disk usage and then run out of disk and the box would die. And so they identified that the problem was misuse of the temp file functions. The engineer apparently assumed that, oh yeah, you can just write files into temp and the operating system will clean it up. Which is not, I mean, it might be true if you set up like temp watch or whatever, but by default on Ubuntu, that's not true. You would have to reboot the box for it to clean that up. But so we wrote a Placate plugin that makes sure you don't do that. And that's what this is about. Apparently I referenced this issue because I was probably telling someone, hey, I would like it if you reformatted this, but I don't care because I will fix it in the future with automation. Yeah, so if I remember right, and it's been a long time since I've actually developed on this tool, the way it currently does the heuristic for unfolding here is if there's a comma in between this parenthesis and this parenthesis, it'll unfold it. But I think I'd also have to add a few more tokens that it would do. So like things like and probably if and for, maybe. But let me come up with some examples that aren't being formatted now, and hopefully we can make those get formatted. Add trailing comma. So if I remember right, this should be getting rewritten, but it's probably not. This should get rewritten, but it's probably not. This should get rewritten, but it's probably not. Can I think of any other cases? Well, I guess first let's start with that and see which one of these are getting rewritten. Run some tests so I can get it installed, and then we can use the installed executable to try that. Ignore that failure. It's just mad that I didn't cover this test file that I just made. Oh, it did rewrite something. Oh, it rewrote these ones. Huh. Because it's only this case that it's not handling? How does it know? Why is this different than these ones? Visit set dict tuple call function def import from class def. Weird. Oh, I think it has to do with this parenthesis being here, maybe? We make this broken again. That one probably doesn't get rewritten. I think that's maybe what it is. Yeah, that's what it is. So if this is a brace, it doesn't rewrite it. So I basically just need to adjust the heuristic to probably check that that this brace matches with this brace up here. I think. Figure out if either of the braces are hugging. Don't unhug a single element things with multi-line components inside. So if it's not a multi-arc thing to fix, and it's hugged on the opening brace, and the last token hug open on Okay, so I think I really just need to adjust this if statement here, but I'll take these three cases and add them to the test suite. If I remember how the test suite works. Single argument, don't unhug. Don't unhug when containing a single token, so this case is... Okay. Like I have a lot of cases for this. I'm actually like really surprised that this one came out nicely. Regression test for... This is where I get to the point where I broke stuff. 17, 16, 29, 32. Add these cases here. One, two, three, four, X. comment these out for now. Wait, where did this parenthesis come from? This is fine. Does this work? No, it does not. One failed, 96 deselected, so I did properly select the test that I wanted. So I definitely wrote this as a case that should stay hugged, but I think it would be better if it wasn't. Yeah, because I'm pretty sure we're falling into this case here. Find out. Breakpoint. Hug open. Hug close. It's currently hugging both of them. Fix data.multi-arg. False. Hug open. We know that's true. Tokens. Last brace -1. The last token is an end brace, and first brace +2. Don't unhug when the... Oh, this is an OR condition, so that's not true. Doesn't need to be true. So I think I could just change this multi-arg maybe to find like level 0 tokens that are these separators. Because that would turn it into a compound statement. How does multi-arg get set? Multi-arg. Multi-arg equals false. If the brace stack is 1 and the token source is equal to comma, then it sets multi-arg. So what if I change this to in, comma, and for, and if. That make that test pass? It does pass. Here's the breakpoint. But what does it break? Nothing. But I think there's more cases. Now that I think about it. Like, I bet that one doesn't get redone. Yeah, it doesn't. These ones all get fixed now, at least. But this one does not. So what's a better heuristic for this? Like, is it that, like, some operator, maybe? Yeah, because the trick is I didn't want this to get rewritten for whatever reason. format. But now that I think about it, I think it would be completely okay to just rewrite that like this. So maybe I just like, I think it's fine to keep something like this from being rewritten ish, or like this, I guess. Even though this is kind of weird. I don't know. Let me change the logic and see what it does. With the current diff of, that's like an improvement. Check out add trailing comment up high. I'm saving this diff here, even though it's not that substantial, because it kind of did what I wanted, but not perfectly. So let's implement the other case where we just check for the braces being the same. Open. Let's see, tokens. First brace plus 1. Is this a thing? Do I really only have a constant for end braces? Oh, it's start braces. That also passes the tests. And now it rewrites this case. But it probably also rewrites this case. And maybe that's completely fine. Seems better. I think black does the same thing here also. What does it do to this? It doesn't do anything to that. That's fine. I think that's better, I guess. I guess I could try running it on a bunch of my code and see how it reacts. See what it changes. And then make my decision based on that. We probably don't need these other tests since this test covers the case that we were worried about. With the ticket number in here, what was that? 42. Oops. Pull all of my repos, get them up to date using all repos clone, which is item potent, so it'll pull down stuff that already exists. Although the startup bit takes a while because it has to ask GitHub for all of my repositories, which can take a while. Mostly because I think it also has access to Lyft repos, and so it's iterating through all of those as well. It takes a while. Can I verify that? Repos.json. Yes, it does include all of the Lyft repos, but then I filtered them out. Oh, I don't want to show you that. I almost showed my API key. That would have been bad. But this file here contains my API key. Oh, it's so much slower with J1. Yeah, almost got me there. One of these days I'm gonna slip up and show you guys all my keys, but I think that's gonna be today. So I'm teaching my brother to program, and he opened up his terminal, and on Ubuntu, the default terminal, when you try and drag tabs, you can't do what I just did there, because it's disabled by default. And so I made a patch, like hacked up version of that. GNOME terminal broken. It's okay, we are good guys. Yeah, but I don't trust every random person that might find the stream on YouTube or whatever. But yeah, the tab tearing is disabled in GNOME terminal by default, because it can cause the terminal to completely crash. But my brother ran into this, and he's like, "Oh, that sucks." And I was like, but I have a fix for this." And so I had him clone my repo and like figure out how to run this build script, and the build script uses Docker, so he had to install Docker, and that was a whole thing. But then he's like, "Okay, well, I don't want to uninstall it because it seems like a good idea, but tell me how this uninstall command works." And so I explained this part, and he's like, "Hold on, I think I know how this works." And I was like, "Well, I haven't taught you all that yet, so give me your best guess at it." And I was very proud of him. He like completely identified exactly what this was doing. He's like, "I don't know what dpackage-l does, but my guess is it lists all the packages." It's like, "Yeah, that's what it does." And then you're grepping for your name, and it's like, "Yep." And he understands pipes really well, which is really surprising to me, because pipes were really confusing to me for a really long time. But I think he understands them pretty well, which is surprising. And he's like, "Okay, so this filters to all the packages that have your name in them." I've shown him awk before for doing some other stuff, but I didn't actually show him like how awk works. Partially because I don't know how awk works, and I just copy and paste from the internet most of the time. And he's like, "I'm pretty sure this like just reorders fields," and I was like, "Yeah, it also puts the equals in there, but that's close enough." And then he's like, "I don't know what sed does, but this looks like it's removing your name." Like, you're spot on. And I was very proud of that. Yeah, what did I want to do? Oh, I wanted to see how add trailing comma, this version of add trailing comma, fares on some of my repos. So I can use all repos manual. We'll do a dry run. And then we'll do repos, all repos grep, or no. We'll find files that are Python files, or we'll find repos that contain Python files. And we'll do dry run so it doesn't actually commit anything. I just wanna see what it would look like. And this will grep pre-commit and acetyl. Your brother is lucky to have a mentor like you. Aw, thank you, CodeMonkey.js. I like to think so too. Yeah, so we'll just run it on a couple of repos like that. Oh, commit message is required. Commit message, nope. Of course, the first thing it picks is add trailing comma. Pre-commit, try repo. Does this work? All files. Warning, creating temporary repo. This is It's supposed to work. Okay. Seems good. Let me make sure that's actually working, so we'll like make this crash. That's one way to make it crash. Yes. Okay. So it is actually using my unstaged changes. That's cool. See what it does to all repos. One downside to this is it's kind of slow. Ooh, that rewrote some stuff. I think that's actually fine. Like, I get why I was trying to like be cutesy and save some characters there. But I think this rewrite is better. At least for those ones. Let's see about these ones. Yeah, this is the same deal. Although this will make the line too long. Yeah, that one seems fine. Yeah, I'm okay with that. No. Alright, how do we make this go faster? Can do get ls files, startup pi, xrs, workspace, add trailing comma, tops pi through 7 bin, add trailing comma. This code looks suspiciously similar to the other code. But, I don't know, I think that's an improvement. Is it? No. That one just added the comma. It's probably just because I hadn't run it on that file. Okay, seems better. Or seems not worse, I guess. Oh, looks like I don't have add trailing comma in this repo. Is weird. I guess add trailing comma is one of my newest fixers, so I haven't applied it to my older repos yet. But so far this is looking fine. Yeah, this one is just another case of not using it. Nothing to change there. Nothing to change there. More of the same here. This one's a really old file, so it doesn't surprise, or a really old project. So it doesn't surprise me that there's commas missing here. Oh, look, a little bit of XPath there. That'll go past the 80 character line limit, but that's fine. So just fix that manually. This one looks like I was being way too clever here. I actually think this looks way better. This one, I don't know. This is like the borderline case where it could have been fine as is, and is maybe worse now. Adding commas in places. So that one's maybe slightly worse. Fine. Nothing in that repo. CSS Explorer. This is I originally was going to write like an AST analyzer for C++ or for CSS, but then because I was doing regression testing for upgrading a version of a SAS compiler from one version to another and making sure that we didn't like ensuring that by upgrading the compiler we didn't break any of our production CSS while I was at Yelp. And I wrote this like huge, really cool blog post about it, and then the VP of engineering was like, "Did you write this code while you were at Yelp?" And I was like, "No, I wrote it on a weekend." He's like, "Oh, well, you can't write a blog post about it. You can't put Yelp on there." And I was like, oh, "For fuck's sake!" Like, spent all this time writing this blog post and this tool and like doing this code for Yelp, and then you won't even let me, can't even blog about it. It's like, but whatever. I was like, well, I'll just eat this and not upload your blog post, and like, your loss, I guess. But anyway, I was writing this thing. It was originally gonna like analyze whether the AST was the same, but then I ended up just writing a pretty formatter, because it ended up being easier for me to just pretty format the compiled CSS and then diff the pretty formatted output, and like that was good enough for me to do my regression testing. I actually found a bunch of bugs though, so it was a pretty useful tool. But I haven't used it in years because I haven't been a front-end developer in years. Which is fine, I guess. I'm okay not doing front-end development. This one has a bunch of rewrites. More of the re-indents there. Oh boy, what do we do here? Oh, I see, it just unhugs a little bit. Would you want to do some front end? I occasionally do some front end. Like, my most recent front end project, I did my dad's website. Which, woohoo, it's responsive. Look, I did the good CSSs. But I also just like cheated and used Bootstrap, so. Although I did these buttons myself, including the hover and the animation. Which, I probably spent more time on these stupid buttons than I did on the rest of the website, but I don't know. I enjoy front end sometimes, although sometimes like pixels can be really obnoxious. And, like, making things look nice is kind of hard. But I don't know. I thought I did a pretty good job on this website for the amount of work that I put into it. But I don't really do front end that often anymore, which is fine, I guess. Bunch of commas there. No code there. Testing / fix coverage. Don't know what that's about. This is one of my first open source projects. I'm surprised that it fixes a lot of stuff here. It's all this same pattern where I have like a class inheriting a name tuple. Seem to do that a lot. Although when I switch to Python 3.6, I won't do that anymore because I'll be able to use typing.nametuple. Python 2 code, I'm stuck in this old form. One kind of weird thing here is like originally this was 2 indented, and so this inner part gets 2 indented, but really this should be 2 indented. But whatever. Not worth fixing. But I actually think like this form is better than this form. This is one thing that black does as well. Same sort of rewrite. Well, here I was trying to be too cheeky. Good bot. Good rewrite. Changes all seem good. I realize I should page down instead of scrolling, because scrolling ruins my compression. These are all the same thing. Good. Here I was trying to be way too clever. We have 2 levels of this and 3 friends at the end. This is a little bit more readable. Ish, I guess. I don't know. I mean, a lot of my projects don't require any changes for this, which is good. My one just isn't using this hook yet. More of the name tuple. This is like a brand new project that I apparently didn't put add trailing comma on. Whoops. Older project didn't have it, so just commas. Bottom one is comment or commas. The top one is this new change. Seems fine. Wow, I'm surprised I don't have add trailing comma in pie upgrade. Kinda surprised me. I guess this means that I need to standardize the pre-commit hooks that I use in places. I haven't done that yet. Seems fine. Hopefully we'll get to the pre-commit project soon, which is the one that is less of my code. Like the lowest percentage of my code of all my projects. What is babe.py? Babe.python, babe.py. Oh, scratch, python, babe.py. Oh, it prints out all the permutations of the capitalizations. Why though? Also, what in the world? For I in range 0 to 1 left shifted by the length of S. Oh, it's bit magic. So it's anding. I wonder if I change this to hello world, if we get yeah. Yeah, it's bit twiddling magic. Every permutation of that. There's quite a few. Okay, good. I didn't show any of my keys. I don't have keys checked in, so that would have been bad if I had keys checked in, because this repo is on GitHub. But immediate panic. But this is my like .files / other random shit repository. Which often contains just like random hacky scripts that I've thrown together. Wasn't using commas, but also this is an improvement. Okay. YAML lols. Oh, just a comma. Okay, we're on to pre-commit now. That's actually not too many changes in my repos. This is the one where I expect the most differences. Mostly because it has more code than... Rev list indices reversed. Oh, I remember what that's for. It's for auto update to pick the latest version. A lot of these are string format differences. Which actually I would, if I were to manually do this, I would reflow this back up here. But my program is not smart enough to do. These seem like improvements, or at least they're fine, I guess. Yeah, this is trying to do too much in one line. This is a little bit more obvious what's going on. So I like that diff. Hey, what's up, Mindful Fox? Streamy boy. Yeah, one streamy boy. It's going. I'm fixing a behavior in add trailing comma that I've wanted to fix for a long time. This doesn't get rewritten, but I wanted it to get rewritten to this. And I'm surveying the damage that it would do to my repositories. I'm almost at the end of ones that I'm looking at. What did it do here? Oh, it fixed up these braces here to indent this whole block. Seems okay. This one was kind of crazy. It's like tests here. Oh, yeah, I should be using page down so I don't lose all of my bitrate on just scrolling. Oh, and that's the end. I think this is the last repo that we'll look at. But overall, I think this is a good change, so I'm going to do it. That's it. Reflow, more hugging. Reflow, hugging more aggressively. Oh, you know what I bet it still allows? I bet it still allows this, even though it probably shouldn't. Add trailing comma. Yeah. Dang it. So it's not completely fixed. But is this case worth fixing? Is the other thing. This seems like pretty uncommon. And hard to like write a thing that matches this, because we're already matching commas. Like I could include all operators here, but the tokenization also counts this as an operator, so it's maybe not the easiest thing to do there. How's your Thursday going, Mindful Fox? Had a long day at work. I think this is good enough though. Almost a year ago that I reported this. Did I intentionally delete that line? Whoops. That line back. Even though the winter's passed without it. Solid one-line fix. All's 42. Why is my CI not picking up? It has. Yeah, it's one other thing that I've noticed is Azure Pipelines is like slightly slower than Travis is at noticing things. Well, we have a lot of CI to run. Just all these different versions. I'm looking forward to kind of stopping testing Python 2. That'll make all of my CI pipelines go so much faster. And I can stop supporting Python 2, which will be great. But I'm gonna wait until PyTest drops it, and then probably follow suit around the same time. And that'll probably mark the 2.x release of pre-commit, which will have some old deprecated stuff deleted. Is Python 2 going away soon? I wish. So Python 2 technically end of life's at the end of the year. Python clock. Pythonclock.org. There's technically 9 months. What does this button do? Oh, dark mode, I see. So technically at the end of, or at January 1, 2020, Python 2 will stop getting support. And I don't know that it's actually decreasing in pygui-stats.org. I don't know that it's actually decreasing in usage all that well. We can kind of look at the percentage of downloads of PyTest as a pretty good number. Oh, this is much higher than it was. Like 75% Python 3. Pretty good. Most of that being Python 3.6, it looks like. What's going to happen to all that code written in Python 2.x? Well, I suspect that for a significant amount of time, people will maintain backports of 2.7 and like I suspect some operating system vendor will pick up long-term support of it, although I think a lot of the code is just going to die. A lot of unmaintained packages will just fall to the void, which is probably a good thing. I'm still like a little concerned about Python 2 dying. It's so sad, yeah. I mean, it is a little bit sad. Like, my first code that I ever wrote was in Python 2, or my first Python code was Python 2, and I remember I migrated all of Yelp main from Python 2.6 to Python 2.7. That was an adventure. My first run, well, it took like several weeks to get the code base to actually install in Python 2.7. So I had to like muck around with how the environments got set up and a bunch of stuff. But my first run against the test suite, I had like 19,000 test failures. So I had to fix like 19,000 tests all by myself. Now, granted, there were only like 1,000 unique failures, but it was pretty nuts. It was a lot of work, but it was kind of a cool project. Python 2.6 and 2.7 are surprisingly different, or at least I found enough places where Yelp main depended on the behavior of Python 2.6 where it probably shouldn't have. Because like one of the things that they did in 2.7 was like hash randomization, which made like dictionary and set ordering non-deterministic, which is a good thing. Like, it prevents against like hash collision attacks and all sorts of other stuff. But in 2.6 you can just kind of assume that the insert order or the iteration order will always be consistent, which isn't true. And like I think the worst piece of code that I found was one of the many ORMs in Yelp main. Yelp main had, I think, 6 different ORM technologies. I think one of them died by the time I left, but who knows, there's probably still a bunch there now. But one of the ORMs used dictionaries to represent the database entities. And if you made a query that joined more than one table, it would use dictionary key ordering to assume that they were in that entity. So if you like asked for business join review, it would make a mapping type that had business mapping to business object, and then review mapping to the review object, and then the return value would be that dictionary dot values. And so sometimes you would get business in the first slot, and sometimes you get review in the first slot in Python 2.7. In 2.6 it was always consistent, but in 2.7 it was not. And so I remember the first test failure that I got that was really confusing was like, business has no attribute business name, and I was like, wait, what? Like, a business should really have a business name. That kind of makes sense. But then I like dug into it, and it was pretty special. I can actually show you how. Let's see, do I have tmux installed? Yeah, I do. I can show you like kind of how I ran into some of these. BC? No. I don't remember how to use tmux. Tmux split panes. Control B. I want to split vertically. So Control B %. Yeah. So let's say we did Python 3.6 on one side and Python 3.7 on the other. Set W, synchronize panes. This is essentially what I did, was I would run one version of Python on one side and one version on the other, and then synchronize the panes so that they would always show the same code. And then I would basically run the debugger until one side showed something different than the other. So like, or import 6. If system version info 1 equals 6, print hi, else print no. And so like I would step through until I saw like a difference similar to this. I have mouse mode enabled, so I can't actually highlight. Oh, I can highlight. Oh. Fancy. Oh, I can actually. That's. Anyway, but this was like figuring this out and like using this to find bugs was. I felt like an actual real hacker. This is like the only time in my life I felt like an actual hacker. It's like, look at this cool thing that I'm doing. But it was very helpful for finding bugs. But that's my my only usage of Tmux. Is this that's open up? Did my build finish? Yes. But this is a major change, so I'll bump the version for this. Check out master. You know what? Fuck it. We're gonna go to 1.0. Seems like as good a time as any. Been cowering in 0 version land for forever. Now it's time to actually own up and be 1.0. So we edit the readme, the pre-commit config, and set up that CFG to bump the version. I guess I should make sure that it works on itself. Add trailing comma. Any other Python files in here? No. And this is one of the very few times that you will see me no verify commit, because it can't clone itself at this version. So actually no verify there. And we'll upload to PyPI. And push the tags up. And I guess the same exercise that I just ran, I can run it again and upgrade the stuff that's using that. All repos grep, add trailing comma in pre-commit config. How many repos are using that? Ooh, quite a few. Maybe I'll do that offline. Yes, I'll do that offline. I don't want to walk through all these again. I finally fixed this issue that I've been wanting to fix for forever. So happy about that. Is there anything else that I wanted to do today? Probably not. So I think I'm gonna go find someone to raid and call it a night. So let's do the wind down first. So unfortunately, I'm gonna be skiing. Well, unfortunately, I'm excited to go skiing. I'm going skiing this weekend, so I won't be streaming this weekend, but I'll be back next weekend. So the offline message will say Saturdays, but I'll be skipping this one. Yeah, no problem. Happy to stream CodeMonkeyJS. If you missed any part of the stream, you can catch the rewind on YouTube. Those usually go up the next day, and that's youtube.com/AnthonyWritesCode, which is also me. Hey, I got a new subscriber. Cool. But yeah, I upload the streams after the fact, so you can always go back and watch them. And you can go back and watch the last however many streams that I've remembered to record and upload. I announce the streams before I stream on Twitter, so twitter.com/codewithanthony. I usually mention them like an hour before I'm about to stream, and hope that's enough heads up. You can also follow on Twitch to get the notifications as I start streaming. But that's all I've got for today. Thank you all for stopping by, and have a good one. Go find someone to raid.